Some people think high intelligence makes life easier, but in reality, it often creates struggles most people never notice. And the higher the intelligence, the quieter the battles become. Number 7. Constant mental noise. Highly intelligent people rarely experience a truly quiet mind. Their brain is always active, always scanning, always connecting ideas that most people would simply ignore. Even when they appear calm on the outside, their thoughts are moving fast beneath the surface. They replay conversations in their head. They analyze decisions long after they're made. They imagine different outcomes, different risks, different possibilities, sometimes all at once. This constant mental activity can feel useful at first. It helps them solve problems, notice patterns, and prepare for challenges before they happen. But over time, it becomes draining. Because when your mind never turns off, rest becomes difficult. Sleep becomes lighter. Relaxation feels temporary. Even during moments that should feel peaceful, like sitting quietly, watching TV, or spending time with friends, their thoughts keep running in the background like an engine that never stops. And the hardest part is this. Most people don't see the exhaustion, they only see the intelligence. But this constant noise leads to another struggle that's even more isolating. The feeling of being slightly disconnected from everyone around them. Number 6. Feeling out of sync. Highly intelligent people often feel like they don't fully belong in the conversations around them. Not because they think they're smarter than others, but because their mind processes information at a different pace and depth. They tend to notice details quickly. They understand complex ideas faster. They see connections between things that others may overlook. So when discussions stay on the surface, they can feel bored or mentally unstimulated. They may smile, nod, and participate, but inside they feel like their thoughts are moving far ahead of the conversation. Over time, this creates a quiet sense of distance. They start simplifying what they say so others won't feel uncomfortable. They hold back ideas because explaining them feels too long or too complicated. They pretend not to notice problems just to keep things smooth. And slowly, they begin to feel out of sync, not just socially, but emotionally. It's like speaking the same language, but with a different rhythm. This feeling can be especially strong in school, work, or social groups where deep thinking isn't always valued. They may be surrounded by people yet still feel alone in their thoughts. And when this disconnection lasts long enough, it creates pressure from another direction. The pressure to live up to their own abilities. Number 5. The burden of potential. One of the most overlooked struggles of highly intelligent people is the weight of expectations placed on them from a very young age. Teachers tell them they're gifted. Parents tell them they can achieve anything. Friends expect them to succeed easily. At first, this attention feels motivating. It feels like encouragement. But as time passes, those expectations quietly turn into pressure. Because when everyone believes you're capable of great things, failure starts to feel unacceptable. They begin to measure themselves against their own potential instead of their actual progress. A small mistake feels like a major setback. A delay feels like wasted talent. An average result feels like disappointment. So instead of enjoying learning or growth, they become focused on performance. They push themselves harder than necessary, afraid of falling short of what others expect from them. And this pressure often comes from inside, not outside. They constantly ask themselves, am I doing enough? Am I wasting my abilities? Should I be further ahead by now? That internal pressure slowly builds into something deeper, a struggle with self-doubt and overthinking, which becomes even more intense in the next stage. Number 4, overthinking everything. Highly intelligent people don't just think. They analyze, question, and reanalyze almost every decision they make. What seems simple to others can become a long mental debate inside their head. Before sending a message, they read it again. Before making a choice, they imagine every possible outcome. Before taking action, they consider the risks and the consequences. This ability to think deeply is powerful. It helps them avoid mistakes and plan ahead. But it also creates a hidden problem: hesitation. Because when you see too many possibilities, choosing just one becomes difficult. They may delay decisions not because they're unsure, but because they're aware of how much can go wrong. Even small choices, like changing jobs or speaking up in a meeting, can feel heavier than they should. And after the decision is made, the thinking doesn't stop. They replay the situation in their mind. They wonder if there was a better option. This constant overthinking slowly drains confidence, and eventually it leads to another struggle, the feeling that no matter how much they achieve, it's never quite enough. Number 3, never feeling satisfied. Highly intelligent people often set extremely high standards for themselves. They don't just want to do well, they want to do things perfectly. When they complete a task instead of celebrating, they immediately notice what could have been improved. When they reach a goal, they start focusing on the next one. This mindset pushes them to grow, learn, and achieve more than most people. But it also makes satisfaction feel temporary. Nothing ever feels fully finished. Nothing ever feels fully good enough. They compare their performance to their own potential instead of to reality. So even strong results can feel average in their eyes. And this constant dissatisfaction creates a cycle. They work harder, they achieve more, but they rarely feel proud for long. Over time, this can turn success into pressure instead of joy. Because when your expectations are always rising, peace becomes harder to reach. And this pressure slowly builds into something even more exhausting. The need to handle everything alone. Number 2, carrying problems alone. Highly intelligent people are often seen as the ones who have answers. Others come to them for advice, solutions, and guidance. They're trusted to figure things out and stay calm under pressure. So they learn to rely on themselves. When something goes wrong, they analyze it quietly. When they feel stressed, they try to solve it internally. When they struggle emotionally, they keep it hidden. Not because they want to suffer alone, but because they're used to being the strong one. Over time, this creates a silent habit. They stop asking for help. They stop sharing their worries. And while independence is valuable, carrying every problem alone becomes heavy. It can lead to emotional exhaustion. It can create loneliness. It can make them feel misunderstood, even when people care about them. Because intelligence teaches them how to solve problems, but it doesn't always teach them how to share the burden. And this quiet isolation leads to the deepest struggle of all, the one that affects their happiness more than anything else. Number 1, seeing too much reality. The hardest struggle of highly intelligent people is this. They often see reality more clearly than others. They notice patterns in behavior. They understand consequences before they happen. They recognize problems long before they become obvious. And while that sounds like an advantage, it can also feel heavy. Because when you see the truth behind situations, it becomes harder to stay blindly optimistic. You notice hidden motives in conversations. You see flaws in systems that others trust. You understand how fragile plans and promises can be. This awareness can make the world feel more complicated than it appears on the surface. Highly intelligent people often lose the comfort of simple illusions. They can't easily ignore risks. They can't easily believe everything will just work out. Instead, they carry a deeper understanding of reality. And that understanding brings responsibility. They feel pressure to make smarter choices, to avoid mistakes, to think ahead for themselves and for others. And sometimes they wish they could switch their mind off for a moment, just to feel light, relaxed, and carefree like everyone else. Because intelligence gives clarity, but clarity often comes with a quiet emotional cost.